Hello, everybody. Welcome to AmateurCast, the show where we pretend to know what we're talking about. My name is Sebastian Limon, and I am joined with Kolby Leapies.
Hello.
How are you, Kolby?
I am swell.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeesh. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still, guess what? We are still in the month of March from 2020.
Oh my
This
God,
has been the
March
longest
again.
March
Oh,
forever.
oh my
If you look outside,
guys,
it's raining.
Been almost a full year since
Almost.
Parasite won Best Picture. Doesn't that feel like it was 10 years ago? But also like it was yesterday?
Kind of. Wasn't it last night? I thought it was last night.
Time is an illusion. God, I hate it.
It sucks.
But
This
hey,
pandemic.
speaking of awards, Sebastian,
Oh my God.
we're in it. It's award season. It's happening. We're in the thrust of
Holy
it.
crap. Guys,
The
it's
Golden
award season.
Globes, They
The Golden
happened.
Globes just happened.
The first of the major televised film awards, the Golden Globes,
Correct.
happened on February 28th. We are recording this on March 3rd. By the time you're listening to it, it should be March 5th or after.
Unless you're a time traveler.
Unless you... Well, yeah.
In that case, let us know what happens.
Wait, unless they're a time traveler who stole my computer before I posted it on YouTube? Or do you mean they traveled so far in the future that they're listening to this in like 2070 million?
You'll never know. I mean, the plans that the future have in the past. Oh, time travel sucks.
That's so deep, man. Wow.
I know. You'll never know. Anyways, as Kolby was saying, the Golden Globes happened, and we watched them. It was hosted by Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joy and 22.
Oh, that's right. They both voiced Pixar characters.
Mm-hmm. And one of them was a lot better than the other one.
Oh, we're not saying
go
who.
Listen to
It
our
was Amy
last
Poehler.
episode if you want to know who.
Yeah, what did you think of the Golden Globes, Kolby?
They're fine.
You watched them, right?
It being on Zoom. Yeah, I watched them. It being on Zoom was weird, but as expected for this year. And I would say most of the awards that they gave out were either exactly what I expected or I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I didn't think Daniel Kaluuya would win, but when he did, I was so happy because he's incredible in Judas.
I was surprised that he was British. He started speaking. I'm like, no, wait a minute.
Yeah, he's
You
always
too?
being American.
Everybody's British.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's British. Freaking Finn from Star Wars is British.
Yeah.
Superman is
He won
British.
too. That was really cool.
Yeah, he did. And when he
I
spoke
haven't
too, I was like,
seen
no, wait a minute.
his episode of Small Axe so far, but I've watched the first two and really loved them, so I'm excited to watch that one too. Especially now that he's won for it. The only ones that were really surprising to me were all three actress categories. I thought for sure that Maria Bakalova was going to win for Best Comedy Actress, and it went to Rosamund Pike, which I was happy about because I really liked her and I care a lot. But I do think that Bakalova deserves some love for Borat, and I hope she gets some.
And I
She's gotten
hope
a lot
she gets
at
more
small.
movies.
Yeah, she's going to be big, I think, for sure.
Because she's awesome.
I think this is her breakout role, without a doubt.
Yeah, the fact that she's so young and was able to compete with Sasha, someone who's insane,
Yeah.
and be this character, she was awesome. She was hilarious. I was surprised with that too.
And then the other two actress categories, I can't say I was happy or sad about either of them because I hadn't seen the movies that won. But Jodie Foster winning supporting actress came out of nowhere to me because I didn't even think she would be nominated. Mauritania
I didn't even know
isn't a
what
movie that
movie
I've
she was
really
in.
even heard much about. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a big awards contender, so that seemed random. And then Andra Day was crazy because I think I was 100% sure that Frances McDormand and Viola Davis and Vanessa Kirby and Carey Mulligan were all getting nominated. I thought those were all super obvious. And I just had no idea who the fifth slot was going to be. And when I went to Andra Day, I was like, okay, great. Back to these four. I wonder which one of them is going to win. And then she was the total kind of dark horse. So
Yeah.
that's crazy. I think now she's probably going to get nominated for an Oscar, which I was not anticipating.
No, have you seen that movie? What was it?
United States versus Billie Holiday. No, I haven't. I haven't heard great things about it, but I'm looking forward to watching it now just out of curiosity.
People don't like it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the reviews aren't great, but
That's weird.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's probably the same thing like from last year with, what is it? Renee Zellweger with Judy?
I didn't see that one either. Was that any good?
No, Judy wasn't good.
Oh, okay.
Not at all, but
Yeah, I thought it was random that she won, but I guess people who had seen the movie were like new. They were anticipating
great
it.
performance, but yeah, bad movie. Really bad movie. So it's probably the same thing.
Well,
I
this
don't
year,
know.
You've got Glenn Close nominated in Best Supporting Actress, and even though Jodie Foster won, which caught me off guard, I think Glenn Close might be the front runner at the Oscars. And Seb, have you seen Hillbilly Elegy?
No, I was going to until
I could do, and I
bad
really
reviews.
could, but we shan't. I could do a whole episode about how much I hate that movie. It is
Oh.
easily my least favorite movie of last year.
Okay.
And so I'm definitely biased against Glenn Close just for that, but I also don't necessarily think she needs an Oscar for this movie. Whatever. It sucks. Don't watch it. It's so bad.
Again, I wanted to see it for the actors. Glenn Close and Amy Adams are amazing.
They're better than the movie is because they're Glenn Close and Amy Adams. So of course
Yeah,
they
of course.
are. But that's like saying that somebody is the tallest dwarf. Or you know what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
they're still short.
Okay, yeah, but
The movie sucks
They're
so
still
much.
short. You just pissed off a dwarf. There's some small guy right now listening, hunting you down. He's on his way. If only he could reach.
The biggest takeaway from the Golden Globes, however, was Nomadland won Best Picture Drama. Whoa. I was already expecting it to win big this year at the Oscars, but I actually thought it was probably going to lose at the Globes. Now that it has won at the Globes, I feel a lot better about it for the Oscars, but we'll talk about that at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode, we wanted to talk about two movies that were nominated for Best Drama last night. Nomadland and Promising Young Woman. Two of the others that were nominated, Trial of Chicago 7 and Mank, we've already talked about. If you want to hear our thoughts on those, you can just go listen to some previous
Go look
episodes.
at the thumbnails, yo. They're in the thumbnails, yo.
Yeah, that was episode, let me see, 11 for Mank and 8 for Sorkin. So if you want to hear our thoughts on those ones, you can go. And then the other one was The Father, which we just can't watch right now. It's not out on VOD until March 26th.
No.
And theaters
We
are
will
not
never
super
watch it.
accessible right now. So hopefully we'll get to talk about that in the future. But for now, we wanted to focus on the Best Drama nominees that we could, which was Promising Young Woman and Nomadland.
Correct. We will be discussing Promising Young Woman first. A film not recently. This came out, what, summer of last year?
No, not summer. It came out pretty recently, actually.
Did it really?
Yeah. Let me see.
I think it was going to come out in the summer.
Yeah,
and
it
then
was,
because
but
of all the
It
pandemic
ended up coming
thing,
out on VOD in like January.
there you go.
But it did premiere at a lot of like film festivals early last year. I want to say it even premiered at Sundance, which was beginning of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, because looking at the promotional stuff, everybody seems it's all pre-COVID. There's no Zoom meetings. There's no
right.
It's all in person, and so I think that's why I assumed it was in the summer. I think it was gonna, like I said, it was gonna appear in
I
the
believe
summer.
it was supposed to, but a lot of delays, of course.
Yeah.
I saw this when it first came out in January. Sev, you just watched it like right now, right?
Yeah, I finished watching the movie like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, so we haven't gotten to talk about this at all before recording. I have no idea what your thoughts are. I'm very excited to hear them.
Yeah.
Before we start, I briefly wanted to say that the reason we're focusing on the best drama from the Golden Globes and not the best comedy is just because there wasn't really anything in the best comedy that was going to be at the Oscars this year. We've already talked about Borat's subsequent movie film. Hamilton's not a movie. Music is trash.
Yeah. And the prom, no one likes.
We already talked about Palm Spring, and the prom is kind of whatever. So we just felt like this year the best comedy category was pretty lackluster. But in general, I kind of hate when people only focus on dramas during award season and not comedy. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, because comedies are good too.
So, yeah, comedies are great, and I kind of hate when people think of comedy as non-deep and drama as deep, because that's not true at all. Comedy has very much capability to be impactful and serious and relevant. And even the movie we're talking about today, Promising Young Woman, is a dark comedy just as much as it is a drama. And Emerald Fennell, the director, told the Hollywood Foreign Press that it should be in the comedy category and not drama, but they don't listen.
Nope.
So it ended up in drama.
The Martian was in the comedy. Remember that?
Yeah. I mean,
it's like, what?
That's a pretty funny movie.
Yeah.
But then Get Out was in comedy, as was Green Book. That was kind of weird.
Well, Green Book was funny because of how racist it was.
But then Bohemian Rhapsody was in drama the same year, when it's a musical, so that didn't really make sense. I don't know. Golden Globes are bad at categories.
Ugh, so dumb. Whatever. I don't care. But correct. We will be discussing I think non-spoilers in case
because this movie's relatively new and we don't want to ruin it for people who haven't gotten a chance to see it yet.
I think our opinions on the movie will be relatively different because of like I said, I just watched this 40 minutes ago, and you've been able to digest it for...
It definitely took me a while to digest, I gotta say. I can't say that I knew for sure how I felt about it until a couple days later. So you guys might be getting two very different perspectives today. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. On that note, Seb, do you want to begin?
Yeah. I'm on that level of how you were. I'm not too sure how to feel yet. I think I loved it. I think there's plenty to love and plenty to appreciate and plenty to think about. And there's also plenty that is a little muddled and a little bad taste and a little confusing. But especially in terms of tone, I thought the tone was a little at first kind of like, all right, what's going on? And then everybody's talking about the ending. The ending will make or break how you feel about the movie.
Definitely.
It really will. I think I dug the ending. I think. Again, like I said, I just finished watching this, so it's like I'm still kind of like almost in shock in a way. But overall, I do have a lot of positives because it's very well acted. It's Emerald, right? Emerald Fennell.
Yes, Emerald
Fennell's first movie.
Yeah, which is insane. Which feels way too well done to be a debut film.
Yeah, and the dialogue is very funny. Carey Mulligan, who I did not recognize to be Carey Mulligan.
Yeah.
Until like 20 minutes into the movie when she started speaking. I was like, well, I mean, she was speaking before, but at some point she was speaking at, because she works at a coffee shop, and Bo Burnham's character comes in. And when he was speaking to her, I was like, oh my God, that's Carey Mulligan. That can't be the girl from Drive. And it was. And great performance by her. Great performances by especially Bo Burnham. And I don't think they're cameos, but brief appearances by pretty big name.
There's a big ensemble that
actors.
Gets where each of these big name actors get like pretty short appearances, but I would say they each leave a big impact on the movie. They don't feel like cameos. They do feel like important.
No, they are perfectly casted. for what they're doing and what they're able to communicate through their characters. It was really well done. Um, well, okay, I think we should explain the plot. The plot is basically almost a rape revenge movie,
Yes.
which I didn't even know going in. I was like, oh no, this is gonna be so tasteless. But
Yeah, it's a very stylized revenge movie about a woman who cannot move on from a very traumatic event in her past, which does have to do with sexual assault.
yeah,
And basically goes around getting revenge on men who perpetuate this kind of sexual assault. She pretends to be drunk at bars, finds who will try to take advantage of her, and then either scares them straight or humiliates them. Or I think sometimes beats them up. It's wild.
Yeah. At first, you think she kills them, and you're like, "What is happening? Like, is this even?"
But we don't want to
okay?
give too much away because from the very beginning, it is twists and turns galore, and it's one of those movies that even if you only were to talk about the first act, you would still give some stuff away because we got a real tiptoe around this one. There's so many spoilers to give in this movie.
I know, because I went in not knowing basically anything. I mean, we gave the general synopsis, and I think that's all you need to know. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just the ending's gonna lose some people. Maybe
Definitely.
it's a make or break ending for sure.
It's pretty shocking.
But without giving anything away, it's definitely both upsetting and satisfying at the same time. It's pretty. I mean, not many movies can end that way, where it's like, wait, what? And then, oh, nice. So, it's just a crazy mix of emotions.
That's such a good way. I can't say why, but that's such a perfect explanation of the ending.
Yeah.
It's exactly the right
way. And then, yeah, really great casting all around. Clancy Brown is her dad, who is not mean in the movie. He's just a nice guy, which I thought was cool. I expected him to start yelling at some point, but he doesn't. He's just a cool guy. I'm like, oh, Clancy Brown.
And you've got Jennifer Coolidge as her mom, who for once is not playing just Jennifer Coolidge, right? Like she's actually just nice being a normal person.
Mom.
I would say,
which is cool.
The entire casting process of this movie is pretty genius. Like we said, it's got a big ensemble. Other than Carey Mulligan, you've got Bo Burnham, who probably has the biggest supporting performance, but you've also got these little bit parts like Alison Brie, Clancy Brown, Adam Brody, Sam Richardson, Jennifer Coolidge, Laverne Cox. You've even got, I'm looking through the cast list right now, you've got Christopher Mintz-Plasse, the guy from McLovin from Superbad. And
McLovin.
That's probably very reductive of his career.
And Alfred Molina.
Yeah, even Alfred freaking Molina's in this movie. You've got Max Greenfield, who you'll recognize if you're a fan of the show New Girl.
I think it was deliberate in the sense that what the movie was going for was... Okay, I kind of want to... I'm not sure if it would tiptoe... Not spoilers, but just like tiptoes into what the themes of the movie are. And that... Because obviously she does that to... I almost kind of see it as a way to test if a guy is a predator or not. You know what I mean? Like, because I get the sense that obviously this wasn't that... Because the movie opens up with revealing that this is what she does with Adam Brody.
It's just her hobby.
And you get a sense that this isn't her first time because, well, she kind of has a journal crossing off in different colors and everything. And so I'm assuming some of the guys have either gone to the point where they're about to flat out rape her, or there have been guys that have been actually nice and have taken her to her home or didn't do anything.
I get the impression there's less of those, but yeah. But
I feel like there's kind of like a scale that she rates these guys. Like, okay, this guy was good. This guy had his hands on me but didn't do anything. This guy flat out was about to do something. And having familiar looking faces kind of adds to the sense of like...
If it could be anyone.
Almost...
and that makes it much scarier.
Yeah, that and Yeah, for sure. And so by casting actors that you wouldn't think would be casted for those parts, these comedic, good-looking guys, some good-looking, some are just comedic.
Right, because they're not slick and sexy, and they're not sleazy, creepy. They're just kind of geeky, average dudes.
And they're all relatively actors that people love.
Yeah.
People love McLovin. People really love Adam Brody for his shows.
And Sam Richardson, if you've seen him in shows like Veep, always plays a super nice guy. Always.
Oh, yeah. And so it's like having Chris Pratt as a terrible human being. It's like, what? You too? You know, it's definitely deliberate in that way. And I felt that those aspects of the movie were the better aspects in terms of the subtle themes of what the movie was going for.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some other moments were not as subtle.
Yeah. An aspect of the movie that surprised me is that it is a thriller in genre. It is absolutely a thriller, and parts of it even dip its toe a little bit into horror. And so I think that aspect of it, when it comes to the casting, as well as the music, which I would love to touch on, are so well done.
Yeah, it's very Bernard Herrmann-esque in a way.
But it also, what it does with its soundtrack is it uses a lot of kind of what we would think of as like cheesy girl anthem pop songs from the 2000s. And Emerald Fennell said that she did this intentionally because she likes that kind of music, and she always kind of hated how it was just usually laughed at and only used for like quote unquote chick flicks, and she wanted to use it for like something kind of more vicious. And so the film opens with I don't know exactly what song. The film opens with like pink, glittery, sparkly title cards and pop music, and there's a really, really important
it's like
scene.
a 90s rom-com.
Yeah. It opens with the song Boys, the one that's like, all I really want is boys.
Yeah.
Like that one. It's like very kind of, at first it feels a little goofy.
It feels like a Drew Barrymore rom-com or something.
Yeah. So I think that's really smart because it makes you think that you're in for one thing and then kind of scares you extra hard by throwing something else at you.
Oh, yeah.
They play a Paris Hilton song at one point during a very important sequence that's kind of like bonding between Carey Mulligan's character Cassie and Bo Burnham's character Ryan, which
I'm hoping was like tongue-in-cheek.
It's a little tongue-in-cheek, but it also, the way it's directed, I felt like was so genuinely sweet. And
yeah, I found it a little corny.
It's corny for sure.
If it was tongue-in-cheek, it would have been great.
Well, that's the thing about this movie is all of it is kind of tonally hard. It's a hard wavelength to get onto because it very much rides the line between what's serious and what's satirical. Maybe it's questioning that line completely. I don't know. But it can be a hard movie to tap into.
Yeah, because without getting into complete details, even because right off the bat, a woman wanting to get revenge on essentially something that relates to sexual assault, you're with her.
Yeah, that's an easy force to get behind.
Sexual assault sucks and it's evil and it's awful and it's bad. But they even make points, and she begins to do things that you kind of are like, is this too far for her? Is she doing the right thing? Am I, like not completely making her the good guy. It's very much like an anti-hero.
Yes. Taking
on this mission in a way, this revenge mission. And so that's something that I definitely really appreciated, because at some point I even began to not lose sympathy, but just question her morals.
Yeah, same here. I'm glad you said that. I wasn't sure if you would feel the same way.
No, yeah, definitely. It was just, which I appreciated more than it took me out of the movie. It was just, it definitely felt deliberate. But
there's parts of it that I wasn't sure how much it wants me to root for her, because there's a couple things in the movie, and most specifically for me was the Allison Brie subplot, which I think if you've seen the movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But
Yes.
there was parts of what she
Yes.
was doing that I just
agree.
couldn't get behind. I was just like, there's no way I can root for her after this. But
No, yeah, I agree.
I wasn't sure to what extent the movie was asking me to do that. And that's kind of why I had to sit with it for a couple days.
Yeah, I agree. Because, yeah, we're not going to get into spoilers, but you'll know it when you see it.
She does some stuff that scares me. And for, on one hand, okay, maybe that's the point the movie's trying to make. Because of this traumatic event in her past, she has been kind of like driven to the deep end, right? But there was also scenes that felt to me like they were asking me to forgive her, where she would kind of explain why she did these things. And I don't know if this is what Emerald Fennell intended, but to me it felt like Fennell was saying, don't worry, this is her explanation. And I was going, I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Until something is kind of revealed between the second and the third act. And from then on, I was like completely on board
absolutely
with the finale.
Because again, the men in this movie are so evil that it's so easy to get behind her cause for them. And there are parts where she does stuff that is morbid, but it's one of those things where because of the movie's tone and style, it's a dark comedy, it's a thriller. You're like, that's just the world of the movie, right? And these men are horrible, and they deserve all of this. But then there's other parts, like with the Alison Brie storyline, or with Connie Britton's character,
the Dean,
that I was like, man, I don't know if I can get behind this mission that she's on. It's tough. It's tough.
I agree.
Not that those characters are redeemable either. Very few characters in this movie are redeemable. I would almost none. In fact, I think I would say that basically no character in this movie is, or at least no main character is a redeemable person. It's hard to say. Yeah. It's hard to say. And you know what? I commend the movie for that. I applaud it for that. Just even if I'm not sure if I agree with everything it's doing, I have to give it applause for making me think about it for a whole week and for sparking as much discussion.
Think about it and still interested in what was going to happen. I was definitely not like turned off or like this is trash. Let me turn this off. Like no, I wanted to see what was happening.
Yeah, I was very engaged.
Like I said, I think everybody can be behind. At least anybody who's
who's not the devil,
good person, who's not the devil, can be behind someone who wants to get revenge on something as disgusting as rape or sexual assault. And so I think that alone kind of gives you a sense of like, I know what you're trying to do, and I'm rooting for that to be changed, but come on, like give me something else,
Right.
So if any other subject matter, it probably wouldn't have been the same.
Well, that's the thing. The movie is similar in a lot of ways to like Kill Bill, right? Which is a stylized revenge thriller. And that's what this is. It is a very like hyper stylized revenge thriller. But in Kill Bill, which is about murder, which is like horrible, obviously, you know what I mean? Murder's terrible, but for some reason it's more common in a stylized movie that we can kind of forgive it as like in this world it's different. You know what I mean? If the bride was a person in real life, I would never root for her. But because she's in a Tarantino movie, I'm like, she's badass. I love when she cuts people's heads off. Right? So in some ways, I'm like, why can't I do the same thing with Promising Young Woman? But Kill Bill isn't...
Well, because I don't think it was that hyper stylized in the first place. It definitely felt... It dealt with themes that relate to many, many women today. Not just today, obviously. This has been going on forever.
Right. But it's been highlighted in the last couple of years, for sure.
It's
in the
such
media.
A sensitive subject. Not everybody can relate to your entire family being murdered at your wedding.
Right.
Like in Kill Bill. That's more of a hyper stylized, over the top revenge plot.
Whereas this is more grounded in something that is
much more
very
realistic, and this is a deep subject.
Yes.
And kind of gross, and it makes, that's why it's like, well, this happens to people. They can see somebody watching this and being like, this has happened to me, why are you doing that? Or this has happened to someone, Whereas Kill Bill, no, I don't think anybody can really say that this has happened to me. Why are you doing that? You know what
And
I
that's
mean?
the thing. This is
So
one of those
but
movies
I see the
that
comparison for sure.
that wants us to be disgusted at a lot of points. Kind of like Clockwork
Yeah.
Orange, you know? It wants us to be thoroughly
yeah.
disgusted. And in doing that, in successfully disgusting us, you got to give the movie some
Yes.
praise. I mean, it's an incredibly well-made movie, but to what extent can I say that I love it if I felt that horrible?
It's hard.
It's
to watch
tough.
That movie.
It's a movie that I can appreciate a lot more
really
than I
hard.
can say I enjoy. Similar
because
to
I
Clockwork
just
Orange.
can't. I can't say I enjoy watching people get.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a Tarantino movie and real
Oh,
life.
definitely. Oh,
Tarantino
definitely.
makes it fun, makes it cool, makes it exciting, and the way those sequences in Clockwork Orange are done, it just feels like a camera was placed in that situation in the corner, and you're just watching it happen, and it's disgusting, and it's scary, and you feel like you're there and you want to help, but you can't look away. It's a different feeling. So this movie kind of writes the line between the two of them.
Yeah.
And maybe not Clockwork Orange, but I know what you mean, like in a movie that completely goes all the way realism. This doesn't go all the way realism, but it doesn't go all the way hyper stylized either. It has a
Right.
good 80s movie-esque balance between the two, where there's definitely something heightened behind this, but it's telling a personal, deep story.
And that's the thing about it, is that its tone is kind of all over the place. And I feel like it gets away
kind
with
of.
that because of its style. It's got this very like candy
I agree.
sugar-coated style, but the theme, even though it's clear by the end, it's very messy along the way. And I
Yeah.
mean, maybe I think that could be intentional. I think that what the movie
I
is
think so,
talking
too.
about is a very messy subject that is not that shouldn't be comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's not comfortable, but we have to talk about it because guess what? It's happened and it's going to happen, and
Yeah.
it won't stop unless we do something about it.
And I think that's why this
I think
movie
is great.
is so important and why it's getting so much attention from critics and awards this year, which is great. And I really wasn't expecting that. When I reviewed this on Letterboxd in January, I wrote that like it would be cool if this movie won some awards because movies like this never do. But I really think I can't believe everybody thinks it will. There's no way. And then I was totally proven wrong at the Golden Globes, which is great. This is such an
Yeah.
important movie this year. and I'm-
Director, screenplay,
Yeah.
actress, it's crazy.
and picture drama.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. I mean, it deserves it for sure. But even if I'm hesitant on certain parts of it, I think it deserves it.
No, yeah. I can always appreciate a movie that. I'd rather have a movie that's super ballsy and goes for it,
Yeah.
rather than something that's completely safe. Like I'm still gonna remember the movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like something that I watch and like, oh, that was cute, and I'm never gonna remember it again. Green Book, oh my god. But
Yeah.
I would rather see something like this being praised than a Bohemian Rhapsody. You know what I mean? Even if it's not completely perfect.
And that's why it reminds me so much of another movie which came out in 2019, Ready or Not, which was very different subject matter, but a
I have
very
not seen that.
ballsy kind of like very satirical thriller that I really enjoyed. It reminded me a lot of Ready or
Uh-huh.
Not. I think you'd like that a lot, so you should check it out.
Yeah, I hear it's like a horror comedy type thing, and I love.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that
not
stuff.
like relevant in the same way this one is. It's goofy, but I think the style is similar.
Nice. No, I want to see that. I've been meaning to see it. Just I never got around to it. But
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe someday we can talk about it here.
One thing I'll throw out there is that I always wish, because the Oscars have the original song category, right? Every year, I wish that they had one for like best cover or rearrangement, because a lot of times movies will take a song that already exists and do something really cool with it, but then it can't be nominated at the Oscars. And this movie has a new arrangement of "Toxic" by Britney Spears with like scary horror movie violins.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool.
And it reminds me of what the movie Us did with 5 on it. It was great. It was so cool.
Yeah.
I wish that it could win an
really
award
cool.
for that version of the song.
Us used it perfectly in the trailer, not in the movie. But here in the movie, it was perfect.
Yeah, it's like revitalizing this
hyped up
pop
pumped.
Song into
This
horror.
I cannot wait.
It's great.
Cool. We didn't really get into spoilers. I thought we were going to get into spoilers.
That worked out well.
but I think that worked out well.
I think we said a good amount about the movie.
Do we have anything else to say?
Not really. No. It's bold. It's ballsy. It's unpredictable. And I absolutely commend it for that. And I really recommend that everybody sees it, even if it's just to see what your take is on it, because it will be very divisive, especially that ending.
Especially the
I
ending.
like the ending a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I wish it had been a little bit better supported by the first 2 acts of the movie, but I just appreciate how ballsy it is. And that's the last time I'll say balls today, I promise.
Balls. I agree. I was upset and then cheering.
Yeah. Yeah.
And great use of music again. And Bo Burnham is awesome as always.
And Alfred Molina, love to see him. Love to see him. He was great in this.
I love that man.
He's great in everything.
Even if it was for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, he has a short sequence, but it hits you pretty hard. It stuck with me for sure.
It was good. Very good. Okay. Kolby, what would you give it?
Despite my reservations, I still feel like I can give it an 8 because of how much I respect it and how I can't say the word again. Just how let's say bold it is. I appreciated it. I was very immersed and engaged in it. I love the conversation that it sparks, even if, like we said, along the way to get to the ending, it is messy. I still feel like I can give it an 8.
Nice.
What about you, Seb?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't rate it for like multiple days after I saw it.
Yeah. I would have to sit with it for sure a little bit more because I mean I've looked at some what some people have said about the movie online in terms of like the people that I trust, Chris Stuckman, Red Letter Media, on their take on it, and they're all vaguely positive, and I would like to see what the negative side has to say to see if it's like any, if I feel the same way or if like I didn't see it that way, and I'm not too sure yet. I'm stuck between maybe like a 7 or an 8, but I'm not sure. I'll have to give it some time for sure. But yeah, overall positive. Regardless, I recommend it that you see it. It's worth watching. It's not like something that's like only a few people would like or not for a certain crowd. I recommend it to anyone really, and like I don't know, go and watch it, even if it's just to see how you think about it.
It's worth the watch for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of watching, Francis watches a lot of cliffs in the next movie we're gonna talk about. Here.
We will never get these segues down.
No.
Can we rename this podcast the amateur segues?
Amateur segues.
That sounds like a
Maybe.
that sounds like a tourist company that does those Segway tours.
That sounds like an indie band.
That does sound like an indie band. Seb,
Amateur Segways.
Let's make an indie band called Amateur Segways. That's sick. What's our first album name? Balls?
Ballsy. Ballsy. It'll just be called Ballsy.
That's a good album name, actually. I like that.
Ballsy, and it'll be a photo of I'm trying to think. What's something that we...
Well, we can't use a picture of balls, then the album won't sell.
Obviously not. We can use a photo of a lighthouse. So it's very phallic.
Do we use the photo of the
It'll
lighthouse?
be us. Maybe it could be us paying homage to the poster.
Right.
It should be called Ballsy. Oh, I like this. I like this.
Look out, everybody look out for Ballsy, the new album in stores. That's not how albums work anymore, but the new album in stores this summer.
Segues.
Featuring tracks such as Alfred Molina, Love, and Jared Leto Hate, and
Wank
Your Mank.
Daddy Damien. I don't know. Lucas, you hack.
Yeah, you hack has to be a track because you say that every episode.
You hack.
Every episode.
I know. We just call out hacks for every episode.
Yeah. That's our fan base. You know how bands will have like a name for their fans?
Yeah.
Where ours are the hacks.
We're the hacks.
Yeah.
You hacks.
All four of them.
If you are listening, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I know
guys
we
for
suck.
Listening.
We're pretending to know what we're talking about.
Yep.
Oh. Anyway,
moving on. The movie that won Best Picture Drama at the Golden Globes this week, the movie that has made a huge splash this year. It's won a crap ton of awards. It's won Best Director at almost every, if not every, festival or awards body or whatever, critics group, whatever that it's been nominated for. The movie is Nomadland, starring Frances McDormand, directed by Chloe Zhao. It looks like Zhao, but it's pronounced Jaw, according to Google.
If we are wrong, you can...
I'm so sorry, Chloe. I have so much respect for you. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it's Jaw.
Yeah.
The movie is based on the nonfiction book Nomadland, which follows a group of nomads, real life people who in America who live in vans and just travel around the Midwest. They don't have houses. That's the way they've chosen to live their life, largely because of the economic crisis of 2008, but for other reasons as well, spiritual reasons, personal reasons. And using a cast of otherwise real nomads, many of them featured in the book that it's based on, non-actors, non-Hollywood people. Chloe Zhao tells the story of Fern, who is played by Frances McDormand and is based on Frances McDormand in real life as far as her personality goes. A Midwestern woman who, after the loss of her husband and of her job in the recession, drops her life, sells her stuff, and buys a van and decides to be a nomad and decides that that's the new life for her and kind of just blindly oblivious, like just kind of wanders through the Midwest, exploring regions and meeting interesting people along the way. It's a very mellow film. It's a very tranquil film. Yeah, slow burn for sure. Yeah. Sebastian, when did you watch this one?
I watched it after the Golden Globes, actually.
Oh, okay, so last couple of days.
I had time. Cool. I was with my grandma. We watched it together, and the Globes, I mean, and then I was like, "Do you want to watch? Do you want to watch Nomadland?" She's like, "Yeah." All right, cool. And so we watched it on Sunday. Yeah. When did you watch it?
I watched it on February 19th, which I think is the weekend it came out. I was very excited for it. I've been waiting to see this for a couple months now, so I saw it as soon as I could. And according to my letterbox, that was the 19th. I actually watched it first thing in the morning that day.
Oh, nice.
I woke up and got up super early before I had to go to work so I could watch it. I was so excited. And I really liked it. I was very pleased. Nice. I was actually scared that I was overhyping in my head, and I don't think I did.
That's good.
What about you, Sebastian? What did you think of it?
I liked it too. It was it's a very it's not there's not really a structure or a plot to the film. It's kind of like almost like a day in the life type of thing
Mm-hmm.
where you're following Francis essentially adapting to becoming a nomad. It's almost like observant, and it's weird because it feels both massive and epic
Mm-hmm.
with some of the shot choices, but also very documentary and personal and
And intimate.
raw
Yeah, that's a really good way of
and
putting it.
intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are like great. I think the movie was released in IMAX, which I would
Mm-hmm.
be down to see.
For such a low budget
Um,
movie, there are such incredible landscape shots, and
yeah, great tracking shots, wide
yeah,
angles.
I think the reason it looks so good is because Chloe Zhao knows how to really use nature. Because usually when we say a movie looks
Yeah,
big and cinematic, it's because been a lot of money put into big sets and big costumes. But this one, it's just natural landscapes. Every location is just
yeah.
a natural place outside, outdoors. You know what I mean? Um,
You don't need to do anything. It's gorgeous already.
yeah, it's like Chloe Zhao really has an appreciation for nature. If you've watched her interviews, you know she um, cares very deeply about nature, and so
Hmm.
she does a really great job incorporating that into her filmmaking, which is a reflection of how important it is to the nomad lifestyle.
It felt like a blend of Roma and The Revenant in the way
Hmm.
that it was shot. And The Revenant, and obviously they went to the real locations and they used wide angle lenses and long takes and really was able to kind of let the landscape, you don't need to do any computers or anything. It's just that's it. Press record in the camera now. It looks gorgeous. And with Roma feeling both very intimate while also it's shot in this grandiose widescreen way, but telling this intimate personal story. And what Nomadland does, especially with all the sequences of the nomads, it just feels like a documentary. It genuinely felt like it didn't feel scripted in any way. At least the sequences with them, it felt like how any documentary would when observing observing the person that you're interviewing or what have you. It was very laid back. I wouldn't say laid back, but it was just very mellow movie for sure. And I can see somebody watching it and thinking, well, nothing happens. It's just Francis McDormand taking a caca in a bucket and being
Yeah,
sad and driving.
yeah.
And I can see somebody watching this and saying that, and I wouldn't completely disagree. But for me, it was more than that. It was absurd. It was again, it was almost like a fly in the wall type of observant
Hmm.
movie. Seeing these lives, it's about people ultimately, I think, and just to hear their sides and their perspectives on living this life and what led them to there, and it was interesting. I was I loved what they had to say about. I think there's without getting into complete spoilers. It's not really a spoiler, but there's a character here that we get introduced who basically says that she's not gonna make it,
Hmm.
and what she wants to do in her final days, and it's kind of beautiful and it's really sad, but it's like it doesn't feel like a performance or anything fake. It feels like
And that the person
someone
who
that
says
you
that
just met telling you
is not
this.
an actor at all.
Yeah,
So,
and the fact that they were able to get that emotion out of non-actors
mhm,
is it's really special. It's really awesome. And of course Frances was amazing. She's great as always and everything.
definitely, it's one of those movies that uh, it's hard to tell what's written and what's not because it's all so seamless.
Hmm. Yeah, that too. Like you can't really tell exactly. You can't really tell what is written or not. It just feels like this. Yeah, just this is one movie that's being told, and yeah, I found it to be really beautiful, and it stuck with me for a good while. And um, I look forward to seeing it again someday. It's a movie that I would need to be in the mood for sure. Because it's generally slow. It's very mellow. I was feeling pretty melancholic after the movie. Um, so it's not something that I would put on after a long week, but it's sometimes we're always going to be in the mood for something that will challenge us, and this is a good watch.
That's funny. I think I would put it on after a long week because it's so serene. I think it would calm me
Mm-hmm.
when
Okay,
if I've had
I
a
can see
tough
that.
week, if I'm working a lot, if I'm stressed. I think I could put it on and really like feel tranquil, which I
Mm-hmm.
like in movies. You mentioned the caca. Um, and as goofy as it is, I think that's something that's so impressive about Frances McDormand in this movie is how naked she is, figuratively and literally. Um,
Yeah,
um,
we see her boobs at some point.
yeah, there's a scene where she's lying naked in the water, and it's not sexualized at all. It's not a glamorous shot.
No.
It's just honest and raw. And there's a scene where
Mm-hmm.
she's pooping in a bucket. Literally, we see her poop in a bucket. And it's not played for laughs. It's not especially goofy or over the top. It's just honest and raw. And I think that's what this movie is all about. And I think casting her was so genius because she's, I think, better at capturing that than most actresses. And I think her performance in this movie is really brave in how much she puts herself out there, um, physically and emotionally. I was
Yeah, she's not
listening.
like she's not a celebrity. She's not a movie star. She's an
Definitely not.
actress.
Definitely not.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she because again, she's kind of being herself. So it is
Yeah.
like the least glamorizing performance. It is so
No, yeah, for sure.
intimate and real. And I was listening about that poop scene. I was listening to this interview with the sound designers of the movie. And that
Mm-hmm.
scene kind of got brought up as a joke. Like, oh, you had to design a poop sound. But the sound designer actually talked a lot about how he and Zhao um devised that because originally he said he tried to kind of downplay it. He didn't want it to sound gross and he didn't want audiences to like laugh at the scene. So he made the sound pretty
Mm-hmm.
quiet and pretty reserved. And because obviously she's not really pooping in a bucket. Like he has to artificially create that sound. Um um and he said he presented his first cut of it to Chloe Zhao and she said, "No. Why would you do that? I'm not worried about what people think of it if they laugh. It should sound like poop in a bucket. Like we're not going to hide the
Yeah.
fact that this is the lifestyle she's chosen and it includes pooping
It's
in a
maybe a
bucket."
little silly.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like that's gross. We're going to tell him that straightforward, you know? Um I really appreciate that about this movie. How egoless it is. How glamourless it
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
But it's still beautiful in that very natural way.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, I agree. It's yeah, it doesn't. It's a very subtle, laid back. It's
mhm,
not flashy in any way. Like, look at us, we're trying to win Oscars here. It's just, it really does just feel like a documentary.
mhm.
It just feels like an honest portrayal of this this way of living, and I really, I just found it interesting, and it made me think like that's true. There's just so many other stories that need to be told, so many different perspectives of life, so many other voices that need to be shared. Like I always groan when there's so much forced diversity in not just movies but just art. And I don't mean diversity, I mean forced diversity, where it's like you're only doing this so you can not look racist.
Like tokenism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that. Disney. But no, this kind of like like other films like Roma or even Revenant or Coco or anything. It's just like, yeah, like it would be nice to see more of different sides of of stories, or different perspectives, or
Mhm.
different voices.
Different, even like subcultures.
I think we've all heard that every story has been told, just not every voice has been heard. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
And
I like that.
which I love. And so, yeah, I definitely was thinking about that halfway.
Mm.
Like it's cool that an Asian woman made this. I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but it's like
No, I mean she's making
I
history as the first Asian woman to win
yeah,
Best Director at the Golden Globes. Um,
not just that. It's more of like I guess because many filmmakers have been male and white dudes, and I guess
mhm.
dudes that kind of look like us,
Yeah.
and we look up to who we look like in a way, at least when it comes to what we want to do. And I wanted to learn how she made this after the movie. I didn't care
Mhm.
how, whether or not she was male or a white dude or anything. It
Right.
was like, no, you're a filmmaker and you made this. I want to know how you did this.
And
I'm inspired by what you did,
part of that is
which I found
because
to be really cool.
it's such a universal story, and we've said that plenty of times. But like this,
Yeah.
like you said, this is a movie about the human experience.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it's one of those movies that's relatable to anybody, even though almost nobody has been through this specific situation. Like
Yeah.
not many of us live in vans and drive around the Midwest and poop in buckets. That's not common.
I would hope not,
But anybody can watch this
but
and
anybody can,
say, "Yeah,
yeah.
that's me. Yeah, I get it."
Yeah. Or
Which
at
is
least the emotions are honest.
yeah, exactly. It's emotionally very honest and relatable, even if the
Hmm.
details aren't. And I feel like we've said that multiple times on this podcast, but it is really
Hmm.
rare in film.
Yeah. Yeah, to be able to capture that with different
Hmm.
perspectives, it's I think that's what makes it awesome and beautiful. To be able to take something like a story of a woman in a van going around different states or whatever, and making it something that you feel like you can experience, or at least that you're able to relate to in a way, or feel like you're there. It's I think that's the power of what movies can do. It's movies take us to different places, whether it's in outer space, or in the jungle with Indiana Jones, or in the city of Vienna with Jesse and Celine,
Hmm.
um, or even animated worlds, or even something where it's kind of not too far off from where we are. It's what, the East Coast? Was it the East Coast that she was at?
She was
I don't
in the
think so.
movie.
No, it was in the desert,
She's in the Midwest,
in the Midwest. That's where
in
it
the
was.
Rockies,
You know
kind
what I
of.
mean?
I believe it starts
So
in Nevada. A lot of it's Nevada,
yeah,
but there's
yeah.
also some Colorado, Arizona, Utah, I
Hmm.
believe.
So it's
I don't know if that's considered Midwest, but that area.
that area. Yeah, you know what it is. Those listening.
Oh, it's definitely not Midwest. I just looked up what Midwest includes.
Oh no. Oops.
I've been
Pretend
saying
we didn't say
Midwest a
that.
lot, actually. Forgot I said that.
Oops.
What I meant was the Rockies.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to say about it. It's just it's a simple underlining. It's more of a this is the foundation of the movie, and this is what you're witnessing. There's not like there's no setups or payoffs or anything, and that
Hmm.
can turn people off. But it's a beautiful depiction of this lifestyle and following this woman, and it's really well done.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's got very little plot, very little structure. And
Hmm.
I think I think the way the story is structured is very flowy and drifty, which is it does a really great job reflecting that drifting lifestyle, that kind of
Yeah.
go where the wind takes you lifestyle that it depicts. And something that I walked out of the movie being very profoundly impacted by was the way it portrays life as cyclical, which
Hmm.
was kind of the largest thematic thing that I took from the movie. There's a line that goes something along the lines of one character points at the ring that Frances McDormand has, her wedding ring from her old husband, And she says, "You see this? You couldn't get rid of this if you wanted to, right? Because it means so much to you." And Frances McDormand says, "No, I couldn't." And she says, "It's a ring. It's a circle, so it never ends, right? Because
Yeah.
your relationship with your husband's never going to end. Your love for him's never going to end. That's what that represents." And there's another line, which is, I would say it's like the line from the movie. Like, it's very emphasized. I want to say it's said twice. Actually, a couple times. It's in the trailer. It's a line from Bob Wells, which is the name of both the actor and the character, because like we said, they're all kind of playing themselves, the nomads.
Mm-hmm.
He says, in this life, something along these lines. "In this life, there are no final goodbyes. I never say goodbye to anybody. I say I'll see you down the road."
Oh yeah.
And he even says that about somebody who has died in the movie. About somebody he knew who died. He says, "I'll see him down the road." And at the end of the movie, this isn't a spoiler. This is not like this isn't the ending of the movie, but like in the credits, it says dedicated to all those who wander or something like that. I'll see you down the road.
Yeah.
And so I feel like
I was like, wow.
And honestly, again, without giving anything away about the story, even though there's not much to give away, I don't think Frances McDormand ends the movie in a place that's that different from where she started. But she grows and changes a lot in the middle. And I think her arc it's not even really an arc. It is kind of a circle. I think if they were to make 2 more hours of this movie, what happens immediately after, it would kind of reflect the structure of that first 2 hours. I don't know if what I just said makes any sense.
No, I get what you're saying.
It's very cyclical.
It's just kind of how life is.
Yeah, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And that's very reflected in the road life and in the way the movie is shot, which often parallels earlier shots. Like the last couple shots and the first couple shots are very similar. Yeah, I like that. That really stuck with me. That was the thing that I really took away from this movie.
That's awesome.
Oh man, the music in this movie, the score, so good.
Yeah.
No?
I think that's the only part of it that I thought was fine.
Okay.
I mean, it's well done. But I feel like I've heard that melancholic piano piece in every indie movie.
That's
ever
funny.
made.
I agree with you. When you listen to it on its own, it's pretty typical. But I feel like maybe it's just because of the cinematography is so great. But when you put it over these images, it felt way more impactful. I mean, I'm kind of just describing how movies work now, but I felt like especially here.
That's fine.
And what's interesting about the score is that it's not written originally for this movie. It's a album that has been out already for a while. Let me find the name of it. And Chloe Zhao heard it and just thought it was perfect and used it for the movie.
Oh wow.
It's by, let's see. I'm gonna butcher this name so bad. Ludovico.
Oh no.
Ludovico Einaudi.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry. It's from his album.
Ludovico Einaudi has just died now because of how you just said his name.
But he has a collection of 7 albums called 7 Days Walking, and the albums are titled Day 1, Day 2, Day 3, and all the music in this movie is from those.
It sounds like walking music.
Yeah, so I guess that guy, his name, he wrote those albums after taking like a 7-day hike in the mountains somewhere. I don't know.
Okay.
And he wrote an album to reflect his experience and his thoughts on each day, and just his mood. So that's why it's called that, and that's why I feel like it works so well in this movie, because it's all about kind of just wandering through nature.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, that does sound cool, but in the movie, it definitely it came off as indie piano sad music. But I mean, gotcha. In terms of that is cool that he was inspired by his own hike to kind of
Mhm.
write a rendition that reflects that. Just and yeah, that rendition and that music, when you hear it, you would think someone walking by themselves in the woods or in the mountains or whatever. So, but yeah, awesome movie. It's I mean, I know I said like there's not really much of a structure to it, but I mean, I don't know. This is the cinema we're talking about. This is the art. This is the form where we tell a story visually.
Mhm.
You got to be too careful in not making it too narrative, or else might as well go read a book at that point. You know what I mean? This is only something that only works because it's a movie.
Definitely.
And,
Well,
I
it's based on
really
a book, but
appreciate.
I think
Oh, true.
the book it's nonfiction, so it's very much just like an account of some people's lives and takes a very different approach than this one does, which is more slice of life.
Yeah, this is like a
Yeah.
slice of life thing, whereas I'm sure the book is like detailed
hmm
and of like their accounts and all that stuff.
Yeah, because to be clear, Fern,
But
the main character in this movie, is not in the book. But
oh
several of the
no.
main characters in the book, who are not characters, they're real people, are depicted in this movie by their real people as like supporting characters, such as Linda
Yeah.
May and Swanky and Bob Wells.
Swanky.
David Strathairn is the only other actor in this movie other than Francis McDormand, and he did a really great job too.
Oh yeah, he was
I
good.
liked him; he was very likable.
Mm-hmm.
One
Very likable people.
story that was really cool. You know the guy in this movie. This isn't a spoiler, but you won't really know who I'm talking about unless you've seen the movie. Um, he meets Frances McDormand early on, and then she runs into. And this is another thing about how cyclical it is. She runs into him again later in the movie, and like sits down and smokes with him. And
Yes.
he's like really young, and she's talking to him about like his parents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what Chloe
Yeah.
Zhao said in an interview that I was watching, which blew my mind, is that he was just a dude that they found. Like
Wait, really?
because they actually, when they filmed this movie, they actually lived in vans and just drove around to these locations. They really did kind of like commit to the nomadic lifestyle that they were depicting. He was just a dude they found and like asked if he wanted to be in like a shot, which is that early shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow they started talking and he like knew how to fix cars, and their cars had kept breaking down and they didn't have a mechanic on their crew and they just needed some extra hands, and they're like, do you want to
Mm-hmm.
just come with us? And he was like, sure. And then he joined the crew of the movie,
That's awesome.
and then they filmed that other scene with him later in the movie that's just kind of like his real life story. It's just him talking. That's so cool,
That's so
man.
cool.
I love that.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. And with that said, he feels like, I shouldn't say he feels like an
real
actor
person.
because he feels so authentic, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels like a great performance because
Yeah. It
it's
doesn't feel like
very-
you're just interviewing a random person in
Yeah.
the street. It feels like a naturalistic performance.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome. Blending documentary with wide scope, like wide
yeah.
cinematography and filmmaking. Really, really good stuff. Anything else to say about it, Colby?
Not much. I think we covered most of it. I like it a lot. It isn't necessarily my favorite movie of the last year, but I do kind
No.
of think it's the best movie of 2020 that I saw. At
Mhm.
least I think it deserves the best picture accolades that it's gotten, and I'm very happy with it. If it wins best picture at the Oscars, I'll be pleased.
It's definitely a communal film.
Yeah.
And one that feels that unifies people, and it's
Mm-hmm.
filled with kindness and just the beauty of what's outside.
Definitely.
And that's needed now
Yeah.
more than ever. So yeah, I wouldn't be upset at all if it won Best Picture. at
Yeah,
the
I think it
Oscars.
deserves it. There's
That'd
lots
be
of films
cool.
that deserve it this year, but
Yeah,
I get why this one has been kind of sweeping, and
yeah,
I think it's very well earned.
for sure. So what would you give it?
I'd give it a high 9, And
Nice.
I could see that going up to a 10. I'm very much looking forward to watching this again. Maybe a couple times in the future, but for right now, yeah, I'd give it a good 9.
Yeah, high 8 for now. It's something that will get better. Like you said, I do think this will get better as I get older and
Yeah.
more rewatches, and depending on my mood, and no matter anything can happen in the future or whatever. Just yeah, for now a solid 8, a really high 8, but it could change. Yeah, great movie. Good job, Chloe Zhao.
Good job, Chloe Zhao. You're gonna win Best Director. We all know it, and I'm happy for you.
Yeah, imagine, that'd be cool.
I've been talking a lot about Oscar stuff today, and I gotta hold back because we will be talking about that in the future. Ooh, foreshadow.
Yes. Oh my god.
But for now, Sebastian, my man, what you been watching?
Since the last time we met, when was that? That was like 5 years ago,
Yeah, about.
at least. Oh my god, I finally got around to watching My Neighbor Totoro.
Ooh, dude, I have a poster of that on my wall that I'm looking at right now it's like right in front of me as I'm recording this on my desk. That's so funny that you said that right as my eyes passed it.
I love that. It was awesome.
Great movie.
It was much better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be cute. It was cute. No, I was happy.
Yeah. That's an uplifting film.
I was a kid again. Oh my goodness. It was so good. I loved it. It was amazing. I rewatched Some Like It Hot.
Nice.
After many years. Awesome movie. Billy Wilder is a goat. I rewatched The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, Wallace and Gromit. Great movie. A favorite of mine. I've been just rewatching a bunch of animated movies. This past weekend, I just rewatched the Lego Batman movie and Storks.
All right.
Yeah, it's just random. Storks, I think, is extremely underrated.
Is Storks Lord and Miller?
They produced it. Okay. It's the same Warner Brothers animation company, like from Lego Movie, and Lego Batman. But I have a soft spot for it. It's all over the place, but I think it's great. I love that movie. And Creed.
Oh,
watch Creed.
Creed is
Creed's
so good.
Awesome.
I forget how good Creed is, and then I feel like every other year I rewatch it, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, this movie's
Creed
so
is awesome.
good.
I still think Sylvester Stallone should have won the Oscar for his performance.
That would have been great.
One of his best performances, if not his best.
Ryan Coogler's direction in Creed is absolutely just like a tour de force direction. I don't know if that's the right
his second
word.
Movie?
Yeah, his first was Fruitvale Station.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Panther is great, but just by the nature of it being Marvel, it has to be directed a certain way. And when I watch it, I miss how brutal and how dynamic Creed was.
Yeah, which is why I didn't care for Black Panther all that much. It's just Marvel taking away Coogler's signature styles and what he's known for. Like some long takes and this 16 millimeter, and I mean some of it shines. Like there's like that casino fight, right? That's like a one take.
That's a really good one take.
Yeah, but that one felt like more digital and fake,
for sure.
Whereas like the one in Creed, that felt like, oh, this must have taken forever to choreograph.
Mm-hmm.
This was really well done. But sorry, Kolby, what have you been watching?
So I recently watched Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Oh my god!
Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I have.
It's a new 2021 movie. It's a comedy written by Kristen Wiig and Annie Momolo. It is a absurdist screwball comedy on the level of Austin Powers.
Oh.
Which I gotta say is a genre that I miss. They're best in moderation for sure, but Hollywood just doesn't make them anymore, and they're so fun. They're like such a great palate cleanser. And that's how I would describe this movie. It's so goofy. It's so stupid. But I love goofy stupid. I mean, my favorite movie is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I love when stupid is written smartly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, smart stupid.
And some of this movie is just stupid, but a lot of it's smart stupid. And I gotta say, I had a great time. It's very fun. I recommend it to anybody, really, truly anybody, because you will walk out of it being like, I don't know what I just watched, but I had a good time. I got a smile on my face.
Nice.
There's some great like musical numbers and good production design. It's just wacky. It's good. And then even though it was February, that like really put me in the mood for a summer movie, because that's a very summer movie. It's weird that they released it in winter, but I think they were going for a Valentine's Day thing. But it really put me in the mood for like a good hangout beach movie. So I watched Where the Boys Are. Have you seen that, Seb?
No, I've never heard of
Okay,
this.
so little if you're listening and you're unaware of this little pocket of film history, after the movie Beach Blanket Bingo, which was one of the first movies to really direct at teens in its advertising and in its content, was really like, we're gonna make a movie for teenagers. There was this fad in the 60s of teen beach party movies, which is what Disney's Teen Beach Movie is parodying directly.
I see.
It was just a lot of like kind of generic and formulaic movies about teenagers going to the beach that studios would pump out several a year because they would make a lot of money from teenagers who just wanted to hang out and go to the movies. And believe it or not, teenagers were kind of an untapped market for movie theaters until the 60s, at least to the extent that they became in the 60s. But
yeah.
Where the Boys Are came out during that time. It is one of those movies, but it's much more mature than the rest and much more real. It's still fun. It's still a really good comedy and a good teen hangout comedy. And there's some screwball in there, but it also addresses some gender politics and some sexuality in a really frank and honest way that I really appreciated, especially for the 60s. I thought it was really impressive.
Oh, wow.
I really recommend Where the Boys Are to anybody. You don't have to have seen the other beach movies. It's not a series or anything, but it's a great teen comedy with a bit of heavy drama towards the end. It'll kind of pack a punch. Really good, really good.
Nice. I have to check this out. Where did you see this? Did you buy it?
I think I just rented it on Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a couple bucks. I also just started watching the series Ted Lasso after Jason Sudeikis won the Golden Globe. I'm 3 episodes in. It is wonderful, very delightful. Just a very kind of like happy, hopeful, optimistic show. Pretty good for right now, I would say. Yeah, it's cute.
Nice. Okay, I think we are done. Let's wrap it up because I have 3%.
Oh, Lord. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it very much. Tune in next week to hear our thoughts on Thomas Vinterberg and Mads Mikkelsen's new movie, Another Round, which seems to be the frontrunner for the best foreign film this year. Pretty exciting. And we're also going to be talking about their previous collaboration, The Hunt, which neither of us have actually seen, but we're very excited to watch it in order to talk about it.
Not The Hunt that came out last year.
Not that one.
Not The Hunt.
Not the one that got banned or something.
2012?
Controversial. I don't know. This is an old, what is it, Danish movie? It's Danish, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah.
Both of these are Danish films. Is this our first foreign film episode? Oh, we did Parasite.
Parasite, so no.
But other than that, we're pretty excited. We're going to talk about Another Round in The Hunt.
Very excited. Yes.
Tune in next week. And thank you again for listening. We love you. And for now, see you down the road.
Oh, love you guys. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.